there. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. I go live every Wednesday to share with you some things that I'm working on, upcoming classes and specials. So before I do anything else, I need to tell you that there is free shipping starting tomorrow and running through the 13th, which is Saturday. So if you've got your list, you might want to start building your cart, get it entered so that you can take advantage of free shipping. So it's been happening a couple times a year, and we just found out about this one, and I know I'm excited to stock up on a whole bunch of stuff that I've been waiting to get. So now that you know that, let's focus on a new project. So I'm going to share with you today a card. Last week I made one using the Velvet Meadow paper, and I'm going to make another one today. And this card is actually going to be part of my my Stamp Stack in-person classes that are starting tomorrow and running through Saturday as well. And I have a full house for those classes, so I'm excited to share with you this particular card. So let's go ahead and take a look. So we are going to be working with a few items. Actually, let me show you the card because I can. This card was inspired. Isn't this beautiful? It's a fun fold. This card was inspired by Sherry Roth. She made one very similar. And what caught my eye, other than the fact that it had the interesting fold, and she used a different designer series paper, but I love the idea of using the velvet paper here. But she not only used the Everyday Arches dies, she layered them and just embossed the smaller one. And she used the Floral Spray embossing folder. And this is a gigantic folder. And as I think you can see, you can actually choose which parts and which flowers that you want to use. So anyway, let's go ahead and see how this comes together. So, all right, so that's the card. And these are the dies that we're going to use. And just also, this is using the Phrases and Frames stamp set. And I just love all the different sentiments that are on here. I love the font mix that they have. I use the Happiest Birthday Wishes, but the Happy Anniversary fits on this card really well. And if you have on your own and you wanted to do it, I think this makes a beautiful wedding card, actually. So just something to consider. But let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm starting with a piece of thick basic white cardstock. And what I've done is I've scored it at 2 1/8 inches and 4 1/4 inches. And all the dimensions for everything that I'm doing can be found in the below this video in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. So that is there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm folding it in half as I normally would do. And then this is going to fold back. So that 2 1/8 is exactly half of the card. So that is the fold. And I call this a fun fold, but it's really just I guess it's a little fun, right? I just don't know what else to call these things. So I'm going with fun fold. So I chose to use the velvet paper again. So this is the Velvet Meadow. Oh, look at that. You can really see. And I love this sheet because the green in the background is really like the peaceful pine is really what it goes with, but it almost gives it a, like a lost lagoon kind of look, the way that it's kind of like that shade or hue. And the background on this is actually cloud cover. And so that's where we're getting the rest of the colors for the card. So I've cut this to let's see, 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, so that I have a little bit of a background, a little bit of a border all the way around. And when you're working with this, it seems like there is a right way up, and you kind of have to look at the velvet area, but you can see like the stem goes down here. I don't know, I'm guessing. I don't think anybody is going to analyze your card that closely, but it's just something to think about if you can figure out which way is up. So I'm adding that to the front fold on the card. And then I'm going to take another piece of the Designer Series paper. Now on my sample that I showed you, I used this side. I love this design, and there is a little bit of the velvet. I'm just trying to show you. See, there's just a little bit of the velvet on here, but in hindsight, I am going to use on this card the reverse side, and that's what I'm going to put in the middle because I think that it gives it a better flow. And so I'm going to be, because there is some of that dimension and that velvet on the other side of the paper, I'm going to use my wet adhesive. So just a little tip, because there is some texture there, you want to make sure that you're getting the best seal possible so that when you send the card, it doesn't fall apart. So I'm going to use my wet adhesive to adhere this. And it's funny, I used this same paper last week, and there are only 2 sheets in each pack. So I definitely am using up a lot of it, but it's totally worth it. Now, I do want to say that this paper is in low inventory, so if it's something you like, you want to make sure that you grab it sooner rather than later, because then it's going to take a while for it to come back into stock. So I just looked at that list. Okay, so now we're going to work on the front of the, really the focal point of the card. So for this, I took the Everyday Arches dies, and I use these 2. So I cut the background with this slightly larger one, so you can see I've done that. I love the stitching on it. And then for the smaller one, I used this. And what I did was I took that piece, so I cut it out of just a piece of slightly smaller piece of cardstock, and I put it into my embossing folder. Now this is where you can choose exactly where you want, what you want to show. And what I decided, and it's kind of interesting, it's different from the sample, but I put it on an angle, and so you can see here that I actually put it in like that because I wanted to catch some of these smaller flowers and some of the leaves, but I wanted a big part of that center flower as well. So you can, when you're doing this, you can put it anywhere on this. Oh, Tracy, yeah, I love this paper, right? I'm so glad that you got some. So we have, you can put it in here, and when you put it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, this is what it looks like when it comes out. So you will notice that the stitching on the side still shows through, okay? And you can see on the back, it's a little less pronounced. So anyway, but we're going to put these 2 together. And again, for the same reason as with the velvet paper, we're going to use the wet adhesive. So you want to make sure that you're getting in those nooks and crannies, especially this one. It's very, a very deep embossing on it. So we're just going to add that right to the center, and that becomes the base of our focal point. So I just thought this was just a really nice way to showcase that embossing folder, and it just gives just the right amount of elegance to this card. So we'll take this away, and now we're going to go ahead and adhere this to the front of our card. Now with any of our little fun folds, we have to make sure that we're not going to seal our card shut, and also because this has that velvet on it, we're going to use our wet adhesive to make sure that we get it. So we could put the wet adhesive on the back side here. I'm actually going to put it right onto my DSP, and I'm probably not getting all the way to the edges that I need to, but it's going to be enough to hold it in place, so that when I put it on, I make sure I'm not having any of that stickiness hanging over and sealing this shut. So I'm lining it up, and I'm just going to hold it down. You give it like 10 seconds, and it should adhere really, really well. And again, when you're working with the wet adhesive, it tends to be the strongest. And you want something strong because your card is moving, right? It's the movable element. So, okay, so we've got that on there. And so now we want to just finish off the card. So what I did was I took two more pieces. So we have our sentiment and that little strip. It's right here. Wrong sentiment there. So this sentiment piece is 3/4 of an inch by 2.5 inches, I believe. And I'm going to use the Peaceful Pine. Now I think that I could have gotten away with using the like a Lost Lagoon, because I think it kind of looks like that just because of the way that the colors blend together. But because I wanted to use the new In Color butterflies, which unfortunately are out of stock right now, but they will be back towards the end of the month. But I knew I wanted to catch that Peaceful Pine. So I'm going to use our new ink pads. So if you haven't seen this yet, they're magnetic, and I like to stamp with them so that the lid is right underneath it. And again, I took the sentiment Happiest Birthday Wishes from the Phrases and Frames set, and I'm just going to stamp it right in the middle. And then I'm going to use a pair of scissors. We have snips now, or we will. Come July, our scissors are coming back. They're actually not called snips anymore. I believe they're just called scissors, but they are very close to what our snips were. And I'm just going to come over here to the other side of the room to find another pair of scissors. Oh, damn it. I've got them right here. Somehow they moved from my desk. But we've got our scissors, and because I want to cut this on an angle. So, just sitting down again. And I'm just going to do that by eyeballing one corner to the next. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same angle. So, or try to do the same angle. So I'm just cutting it like that. And that just gives it, kind of like a start and a finish to the sentiment. And then I'm going to take this teeny tiny strip. It's 1/4 of an inch by 2 3/4 inches. And I'm going to put some adhesive in the center of my sentiment, and I'm going to adhere this on the back. And I want to make sure that I center it. So, and I do eyeball it. You could go and make sure, use the grid. Of course, I am using my glass mat, and I could be using that. And you want to kind of try to make sure that both ends are about the same, which I did not do a very good job of. So I'm going to peel it off and just adjust it a little bit. Sometimes it's just easier when I'm holding it up and trying to make sure that it's straight. But if it's not perfect, it's okay. It will come out just fine. And, if you really can't get it perfect, there's always a pair of scissors again. And I'm just going to trim off that maybe 1/16 of an inch there that I couldn't quite get. And so now we're going to use some dimensionals to put this onto the card. And I'm just putting it right over where I had it because I want this to pop up a little. And then when I'm putting it on the card, I'm putting it at the bottom, but I also am letting it stretch past the edge of the arch so that it gives that continuity. Okay, so when you write inside the card, you want to make sure you're staying underneath where that arch is. And I just think that looks really pretty. Thank you, Tracy. I'm glad that you like it. And okay, so now we're going to use our butterflies, and I love these. You can see that when I use them in classes, I put them all out, and I ask people just to stick with the colors that we're using that day because I need to save the rest, because these are, they're a valuable resource, you being able to use these guys. So I have to grab my take your pick tool for this. Grab one. I have classes starting tomorrow, so I've got things all lined up for that. So I'm going to use the take your pick tool. I like to use the putty end, and then when it doesn't work, and then I pick it up with my the pointy end, and I'm just going to use one big and two small, or you could use two big and one small, whatever you like. And I am making my visual triangle, and because I kept this so low, I'm just going to keep my triangle up there and above where the sentiment is, but it still keeps the card flowing nicely, I think. So you can let me know which interior paper do you like better. When you open up the card, you can actually see this beautiful design. So you may decide that you like that better. And of course, you can use any designer series paper, and you can use any embossing folder for the front. But I just love the way that this card looked, and I thank Sherry Roth for the idea of making it like this. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them on this post. And thank you for joining me. And if you're coming to class, I look forward to seeing you there and having you make this card as well. So thank you so much, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.